Cahaya matahari ya.
Okay.
Okay, hi guys. Welcome again. So today we'll be discussing the MS paper continuation of the MS paper. So now I'll be talking about the question. Let me present you Boon, my friend. He also will help me, and we all will go through this question number three. Number three is the question about chapter eight of MS Form 4. So they say ABCD is a parallelogram. Like parallelogram, I told you same sides and all those. So that means if DA is here, then BC is the same as DA. If DA is the same size as BC. That means if DA total of it is V, then BC is V. If AB is U, then DC will be U because it's a parallelogram. The sides are the same. It's given that AQ is KAC. That means got constant AC. That means what makes it to make it to become the constant. So AB is U, AD is V. So they say express PB in terms of U. So PB is PQB. So express PB in terms of U and B. So the first one I solve like this. If you can see, wait, now let me try. Let me present it. I show my answer. Okay, that let's go. Let's paper. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, as you can see in my question, they put there, I want to find PQ. So what I do is I take PA and AB, find PB. So what I get is minus 1 of 4 V plus U is PB. Okay, how? Because PA, if you know that okay, PA is over here. PA is, you see, total of DA is tambah. So if you see DP is 3, PA is 1. So to get PA, you take 1 over 4 because 3 plus 1 is 4. So you get 1 over 4 V. And they say PA. So PA is not AP. So if you want, what we got was AP. So we must terbalikkan the thing to get PA back. So get minus 1 over 4V plus with U. AB is U, is equal PB. After that, see, I show you here. See PA, I just terbalikkan the AP. So I get PA. So that's how you get number first one A. You get minus 1 over 4V plus U, PB. So Boon, anything to add on?
I do my part lah for 3A.
Alright.
Or you can do the whole 3 so first. You do
Okay.
until the C. You talk
Alright.
until no.
Alright. So wait, let me present the question again.
Yeah.
I do for two of the question. Okay, can you see? Okay,
Yeah,
so
can.
you say number B is actually PQ in terms K and U and B. And C, they say find the value of K. Okay, so this SS PQ in terms of KUB, that means if I find that something to get PQ, must tambah like building blocks, you can get PQ. And then they also find the value of K, the constant. So to do this, it's very easy. Now let me turn back again, stop presenting. Let me present again the answer for you. Wait, Okay, WhatsApp images. Okay. Um. Okay. If you can see here, what I did, I took to get PQ. They asked we want to get PQ, right? So what I do is we already know AQ, so we take AP plus PQ is K plus U plus V because we want to find K. They asked us in terms of K, so we need to use this value K. So we take from AQ, okay, AQ, right? So we take 1 over 4 AP 1 over 4 V plus PQ is equal to KU plus KV. So PQ is equal to KU plus K minus 1 over 4 times in bracket V because we factorize it outside must be V because KV minus 1 over 4 V. So we simplify, we factorize outside. So that's how you get. Alright, and you can see the marks. If when you get 2 marks, that means you must write it down. After that, when you get answer, you get 1 more mark. When you have one more this one, you must write it down. Then only you can get 1 more mark for the answer. For C, they ask to get PQ is equal to constant PB. So what we do is they ask to find value of K. So we put here we can get a constant PB. So PQ is equal to the constant minus 1 over V plus U. So PQ is minus 1 over V, constant V plus constant U. So PQ we know is KU plus KV. So V is equal to constant U minus 1 over V. So from here you can see when Ku is equals to constant U. So that means we know K is the constant, the lambda, lum, it's not,
Lambda.
lambda. So you can see the lambda here. So PQ manifold V, lambda, see, K is a lambda. So when we know K is a lambda, we substitute the lambda in the K after this. So we substitute, we substitute the K into the lambda. So you get K minus 1 over 4 equals to minus 1 over 4 K. From here, see K minus 1 over 4, okay, equals to minus 4, because this is V. So we can, when we factorize, we know which one is the same. Like 1a equals to, sorry, like x, ax equals to bx. So we want to find, so a is equals to b. So it's the same thing like here. So k plus 1 over 4, k is 1 over 4. 5 over 4, k is 1 over 4. Then we take k, we terbalikan the 4 over 5. Because when it comes to terbalik, it divides. So k is 1 over 4 times 4 over 5, k is 1 over 5. So that is the answer you will get. So can we hear from Buen?
Yes, okay. So now, when we start with the question, right, you see here, they give the diagram in the question. So always the diagram in this question is important. So first word we see, it's a parallelogram. So when they say parallelogram, as Aldip mentioned, you see, you have to make both sides equal, which is AD and BC should have the equal vectors because they are parallel. So if I draw out, this one and this one should be the same, no? Equals. So the clue for PB is when they give you this info here. Usually the first question they will you can use the info given here directly to solve because it's only 2 marks. So you just form the vector like building Legos and then you get the answer. So it's just like how I did show PB equals PA plus AB. So PB will be negative 1 over 4V plus U. So that is building blocks because the common alphabet here is A, so you'll cancel off the A, and then here we get PB. So this is 2 marks. So that's a simple one based on the diagram. So always when you get the answer for A, you can always like edit the information you have in the diagram so that you constantly know what info you have for every single part of the question. So that like when you go on to more tougher questions like the 4 marks, you have more info here. Because if you don't have info, then it's like tough to think of the next process to solve the question. So basically, they divided here like this and also like this. So you see directly you focus on this triangle, which is the one they're asking, that is PB. So just focus your eyes here. Then
So
you get
we first
the
focus, Buen, on the eyes there.
hmm?
So we just focus the thing over there only.
Yeah, usually they start from the smaller triangle, then you look at the bigger picture. So you see they divide into so many sections like this.
So it can be implemented in every question, or there's a specific question like this?
Usually can implement everywhere. That's the
Okay, so we
concept.
must look small object, then we go big object.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then finally the K1 is the big one. Because you see later they ask PQ, right? So if you see PQ, how we want to find PQ? So when we think about the vectors that we combine, so they give this info here again. See, this info in the question is coming in handy again, the constant K, so that you can express this equation further. So we will have this one. You see when you get AQ, right? Suddenly go blank here because suddenly you see the question asks what is PQ in terms of KUV. Suddenly you see there's no info of PQ here. So when you realize the AQ here, right, there's a letter Q. So there's always a possibility that AP plus PQ can also get you AQ because P is the common one. So we'll cancel out the P. So you have to think of two possible vectors that can give you the what the question one, which is PQ. Is PQ, AQ, yeah, AQ. So AP we have already is 1 over 4V based on this. So this one is negative 1 over 4 because it's PA. When we inverse AP will come positive back. Negative, negative come positive. And then plus PQ equals to KU plus KB. This one is actually got from AC, this part here. So the one we solve normally in the question. And then finally you just shift here and here. So you will get here like till like this. Actually, you can stop here already. Just you want to make it more systematic. You group the same vector V into a bracket. So that's optional, I think. So we can put like this, k minus 1 over 4b. This just extra. Like stop here, so it's okay already. Can get the 2 marks. So it's here and here, this part. You put the values is 1 mark, and then finally down one PQ vectors 1 mark. So this is also 2 marks. Top one is here and here. Because it's direct, so answer 2 marks. So this is how you do it for A and B. So now we go to C. Adi, you want the picture?
Which picture?
This one.
Yeah, will be better.
Okay.
Thanks, Bowen.
Okay. So now we will do about number C. So C, we will use the info given here. So C is a bit complicated if you see, right? Because it's like quite a complex diagram. You have to analyze
Yes.
one by one everything. So
Normally
what?
C is just like comparing the
Yeah.
question with the other part.
To form that one, you have to understand lot the basic concepts. So here we got PQ equals to QB. Because if you realize, right, in the diagram they actually put the PQB is actually on one line. So when you call this in vectors, it's actually called collinear. So that's the question I showed
Because
that
same gradient lah.
same like the constant lah. Or you can tell the constant as a gradient lah. So PQ equals lambda QB, or it can be PQ equals lambda PB also. It's the same thing because all the points are on the same line. But this case we choose QB because PB because we have the vector there already. So we'll put in PQ equals lambda negative 1 over 4B plus U. Just now we already used the constant K, so I just put a lambda because it can be anything, the constant like B we already used K, so don't want to confuse the examiner, we put a lambda. So
Better
you'll
confused
get,
lah.
yeah,
What they train for.
will be something like this.
I mean, our MS is the complex subject than other countries, right? Because we use the old syllabus of Australian one, right?
Yeah, true.
Exactly. This one they'll be learning grade 11 or what we are learning for 5.
That is Malaysia.
We are recording and then you're telling that.
Now, so you want to compare, right? So Ku plus K minus 1 over 4B is equals to lambda U minus 1 over 4 lambda U. Lambda U, yeah, so this is here, PQ come here. And then when you realize the earlier question, right, 3B, there is an answer there. So always refer to the previous questions to help you when they come to a compare question. Because usually they can divide. A is a simple question. Maybe A, they'll give you 2 parts, A, 1, 2, find and just normal vectors, 2 marks. And then B, they can ask you like 2 parts. They can say express like give a random vector PQ in terms of K, U, and V, like the question. And then they can give another clue. So let's say AQ in terms of K, U, and V.
So when we have this question, what is the main strategy you will tell about this part of question?
Usually, if you realize, right, they will give like a constant on top here. AQ equals KAC, and PQ equals to, let's say, K anything like AB maybe. So usually the question here is A1 and 2 will have the vector that you find here to substitute inside here. And then C, you can already express it. It direct express. So A1 and A2 will relate to your answer in B1 and B2. So if A1, A2 wrong, then others all wrong. So whole vector question is related to each other. Then C, they'll ask you hence find the value of H and K. Something like that.
So we just like Tamba and Nila to make both the same and then we get the answer.
Yeah, we do always comparison. No? Comparison will come in this question, the C. Compare both sides of the equation. That's why they use the word hence here. If hence means you have to refer to the previous questions to get the answer. That is the trick line and maths. And they use hence, so you always depend on the previous answer. So make sure this top part is correct for the following questions. So that is, yeah, question 3C. Okay, so Adi, can do conclusion of the chapter.
Chapter, I mean, the C is very different for me because there's some parts I find difficulty for C because they're a bit confusing. Sometimes you get the answer, but the answer is not the same as the schema because of a bit of technical error inside. But for me, I would find that it needs more pressure for C. C is the most hardest for me in that question. B sometimes will
Yeah.
be hard, but the B is you need to think more harder, and the time you'll be given for this question maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You need to finish the question.
Hmm.
Mostly they come on in section B. So for me, I recommend to do this question if you get good in the thinking. I mean, if you play Lego, then you know lah. You build Lego, but it's like Lego lah, Lego set for me. Like I told last week, it's just like building Lego for me. But in other ways, we look, it's like for me, it's a bit difficult, but it needs quite a lot of thinking and this one. So must read Edward de Bono book or what lah to find the best thinking solution. What do you think, Bowen?
Yeah, so what I think about this chapter, right? So if you can like vectors, so if you can really understand this word itself, actually you can understand the chapter. You see vectors, right? In physics, you say that's vector quantity, right?
Yes.
Usually vector quantity, when you define, there's two things we consider: magnitude and direction. So this is the most important part of vectors, the direction. That's why when you said just now, right, we'll use the negative when like the direction change, like AQ equals to negative QA. This is because of the direction factor. That's why we call it vector.
Ah,
Yeah? That's how we apply physics knowledge here because
so
of the negative.
it's vector quantity lah.
Hmm. We just call the chapter vectors, lah, but actually it's vector quantity. Huh? That's why they represent in the form like that.
So we even that means when we have the action on, that means it's physics a bit lah. So that
Yeah, I
means
would
who
say a bit.
created this? Huh?
You see, right? Remember this triangle about resultant forces?
Ah, yeah.
Triangle of forces. Yeah? These parts are all vectors. Like, see, there's a direction here. See, A to B. See, you see, remember this triangle? You like give the F, T1, T2, the tension like that, right? So
Ah,
you see
yes.
AB plus BC is equal to AC. Then these vectors, lah. AB, BC, AC.
Ah, all right. Thanks, Bowen.
So that's how it is. So basically, you just like know the combination of vectors. This is the most important part. If you can master this, then the chapter is basically playing around this. La. Only thing, maybe the questions might get a bit complex when you go down, but it's still coming back to the basic thing, how you form the resultant vectors. So yeah,
I see. Thanks, Bowen.
yeah. So now you can continue
All right,
this
all
one.
right. So let me tab. Let's go. Let's people. So we'll be going question 4. Huh?
Yeah,
I did question 4, I did, right? Yeah, yesterday I did.
yeah, you did.
Okay. Question 4 is solve the simultaneous equation. It's simple. Like they say, you make a variable and you substitute in another equation. You make like a type of your own equation and you substitute in the second equation. Normally, we use the make our equation for the first equation like x minus y minus 1 equals minus 1. You make it subject as x or y, then you substitute in the x squared by y equal to 5. You get the answer for the x or y you substitute just now, and after that you take the substitute one, you put inside your equation you made one, or the first equation. So for me, this question won't come out lah because too easy,
Usually
right?
it will come out actually.
Yeah, will come out, but you tambah one more z, x minus y plus z. Because
Yeah.
this old syllabus one, so I mean old syllabus already is easy the.
Mm.
So okay, let's go. I'm gonna start presenting. I'm gonna present the question in CamScan. Okay, can see everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 4 here, like I told you, I take x minus y minus 1. There's the first equation you ever get. Then second equation, x squared plus y is equal to 25. You label that as second equation. So if I take from 1, so just ignore the from 2 one because I did technical error. From 1 become a. So I make x as a subject, x is y minus 1. So you can see I won't.
Yeah, can.
Okay, okay, nothing stopping. Okay. So we take x minus y minus 1, that's a. You substitute the a into the 2. So you take y, you get y minus 1 square plus y equal square is equal to 25. After you do quadratic equation. So after you substitute, you factorize it like chapter 1 from 4, and then y is equal to 4 and y minus 3, you get the answer. After that, you take when y is equal to 4, you will get to answer. So when y is equal to 4, so you put x minus 4 equal minus 1. You substitute in your first equation here, you get x minus is equal to 3. When y is equal to minus 3, you substitute in the first equation, you get x minus 4. So that's simple. But there is steps of getting the answer and the marks. Now let's learn from Bowen.
Okay, so what do you say? This one is actually a topic easy to get marks, easy to lose marks, because you see, right, when you get like somewhere around the y value, if your y value here wrong, you don't need to think about the x value. X value will surely be wrong already. So
Yes.
always the first value when you get, usually they ask to find value of a, b, c, or x, y, z. So usually if you get a and b correct, most likely your c is correct already, because the equation you form is correct. And also one way that you can check whether it's correct or not, let's say I just give random one, like a, this one is this, and then like this, just random numbers. Let's say this. So how we want to actually verify whether the answers you get down here is correct or not, you just put it back one by one. This one you put here, here, here. Just put individually all the values here into one equation and repeat the same step for all the equation. So if you realize all these things when you add up, you get 17, means it's proven like your answer is correct. So there's no other way other than a definite answer for all the three. If you get like different answer between the two, you won't satisfy all the three. It's quite tough. So basically there is one way to check. And then for this question, this is the second part of chapter 3. First part is you solve three simultaneous linear equation in one part. This one is the lower form one, where they give you x minus y is -1, x squared plus y squared equals the 25. So usually when you get this question, you will identify which is linear and non-linear equation first. So you see here is linear, right? Because you can transform this into the form of y equals mx plus c. This is the exact form already. Means it's linear because x is power 1. And you see here the x is power 2. So definitely it's about something like a quadratic law, say. That's why it's a more complex one. So it's not like necessarily you must substitute linear to non-linear. You can also go this way, non-linear to linear, but it's more challenging, of course, where you want to modify this equation, right? Then you put inside here, can be done. Then put this.
Well, it will be very tough. You need to substitute that.
Will be the square root. And then this one you put inside here. You'll get the same answer, but it's tough. So that's why they recommend you go from linear to non-linear. So if here you have two choices, you can express x in terms of y, or you can express y in terms of x. So both ways will work. And you see both, so it's easy to substitute because it's x squared and y squared, and you know like long complex equations that might make your answer go wrong. So you can choose either one, which one you get less, and then you'll finally get your answer. So let's say if I choose x equals -1 plus y, I put this as my equation 3. So always label your equations like 1, 2, 3. This will give a clear guide for the examiner what is your steps in solving the question. And then you'll always write this, right? Substitute 3 into 2. So this is also a guide for the examiner. Like how is your process of thinking to solve the question. So you will do this. This one gets you the mark because you see it's substitution again. X is -1 plus y. So you're using substitution method here. So then I just go down directly to the quadratic part. So when you can form quadratic equation, you see, you'll get another mark already. Because this one is also
So that means
knowledge.
so that means how we get a mark. First mark we get from our quadratic equation.
You get from here, this part. X equals
Oh,
-1 plus y.
first mark.
Mm.
Second mark is when you substitute or what?
Yeah, here this part, you substitute this into this.
After
Because
that, the quadratic equation, you get that mark.
yeah, third mark. Because it's the knowledge what you how to arrange the terms so that you form the general equation of
Oh, so
ax
answer
square.
the fourth mark lah.
Fourth mark will be your y value. Either one, I think, probably.
Oh, alright.
So if one correct also, I think both must be correct lah. In this case, if one correct, then quite tough lah for you to get the mark. So you go like this: y is -3, y is 4, and then you put substitute y equals -3. So always continue to give this guide to the examiner so that they know what you're doing. So you can
Okay.
choose lah, either into 3. You can even put into 1 and 2 because it's still the original equation. This equation 3 is modified from this. So it's actually the same thing only. So you can choose either one, which one you want to substitute into. And then you will get -1 plus -3 be -4. Same thing for the other one. No? Substitute y equals 4 into 3. So you get x equals -1 plus 4, which equals to 3. And also, if you want this part, right, the last part of this thing is called a conclusion. So you can say when x is -4, y equals -3. When x equals to 3, y equals to 4. So sometimes it gives a clearer guide to the examiner. Your final answer is here. So that one also can earn you marks sometimes.
I
Usually
see.
you can, that's how you address the question. K1, K2, K3, and then this is your answer, either one of these. And then x values, or this one. And then, yeah, that is it. 6 marks.
Alright. So can we proceed to the next
Yeah,
question?
can. Oh, yeah, you done already, right? This part?
Ah, yes, I done already.
You can give conclusion on the chapter.
Just substitute, eliminate. That's all only. It's the basic of maths. What's
Then,
your conclusion on this?
wait,
Or selfie or
no lah, take picture of this.
sorry.
So when you think about this chapter, right, there is always 3 ways you can use to solve your simultaneous equations, and always you see this simultaneous concept keeps on coming into the all the questions. So simultaneous.
Wait, I come out. Wait, give me 2 minutes.
Okay.
So Sorry, Bowen.
So what? So
Just
I
now,
think.
roti bun guy come.
What you want?
No, butter bun, sorry. Okay, types of solution, infinity solution, one solution, no solution. Wow. Whoa, well, this one is like,
This is
oh,
something valid they tell.
okay, so can take photo. I can't see, my.
Yeah,
Mana
sure,
pun
I'll
tak
take.
boleh. Saya punya mata mana kecil lah. Tak boleh kena Google apa, binoculars where let me see. Can I? My binoculars okay ah?
Using binoculars.
Still cannot see it, eh? Binoculars also cannot see. Wait ah. Infinity solution, one solution, no solution. X
Yeah.
is equal one. X is equal what?
Some question
Infinity.
mark, anything.
Y is equal to infinity. Yeah. Z is equal to zero. Zero is equal to
Yeah.
zero. Ah.
So basically, when you see like simultaneous, you can have in like two variables or three variables. This one is the lower form. This is head maths. So always you will go back to these three steps: substitution, elimination, or let one equals to two. So you can use anything. But in this case, uh, yeah, you can even use what the subs, elimination method because you can like square the whole equation, but something more tough lah. But usually we'll just use the substitution easy way. So
Ah.
when you see right, sometimes the question can ask you this part types of solution. They will ask you to solve right. Then the second part they can tell you determine the type of solution for this question.
Oh, they can ask also a type of
Yeah, I've
solution.
seen before a question asked that. So usually types of solution, infinite solution, right? Sometimes when you realize you do what simultaneous, you think you actually made a mistake, but actually you did not. Infinite solution is when you get your final answer, suddenly you see zero equals to zero. There is a chance. Like when you solve the variables, when you suddenly get zero equals to zero. So how can you solve this? You cannot proceed for other two values already. You cannot find. You get to this part. The normal one we always do is one solution because it's correct. Like, there's only one type of solution. You get the values of x, y, z, like say 8, 16, normal values, like 24, like that. And then one more, right? Very weird one, no solution. Suddenly you solve, right? You get 6 equals to 8. How is this possible? So cannot work. So that's why they call it no solution. You cannot proceed further from this working. So yeah, something to be aware about like the question. Sometimes they can
Oh.
ask you and they will say like justify your answer. So you can tell based on what you got here. So yeah, that's how you do it. Then proceed.
I feel this one will come out. You think so?
Don't know.
I have some
If,
feeling.
if the question want to be strict with us, yes lah.
Okay.
Most times
So
they just ask solve lah.
yeah, true. After this is the graph, right? I feel really lazy to do graph. I never do for my midterm the graph. What I skip the question.
Which graph? Oh, linear law.
Linear law. I didn't have time. Linear law.
Now the question is 6 what? Not yet linear law.
Oh, I thought five was linear law.
No, 7 only.
Five is not of yet, no?
5 is not in math syllabus. This went to maths already or jive.
Oh, okay.
Remember we are doing it in chapter 7 from 5.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So now
I now study maths for a long time. I just give up everything. I'm tired. Okay, so let's go 6. The gradient function of a curve is kx squared minus 4x where k is a constant. The tangent to the curve at point 13 is parallel to the straight line y squared 5 minus x. So that it say A, find the value of x. B, hence determine the equation of the curve. So when you see gradient function, that means we know it already is already differentiation. Differentiate.
Station.
Differentiation. Difference. Differentiate. You already differentiate already. So as you can see, like earlier we differentiate the ax squared plus bx this one, it become kx squared minus 4x. So now when we say tangent to the curve at the point 13, that means the first gradient won't use normal gradient, we use the m1 only. We don't need to m1 minus m2 minus equal negative 1, don't need to do that. We just get m1. So now let's go. They say find the value of k. So when they ask you find the value of k, and B they ask to determine the equation of the curve. Okay, this is a very simple question. Yeah. All right. Very simple question and very simple answer. So now as you can see here, my number 6 here, okay, and okay, number 6a. So we get y is 5 minus x, correct? So So y equal 5 minus x. So when m equals to -1, why we get -1? Because when we say that m equal -1, because we earlier we saw the equation they said what? So the kx square minus 4x. So we substitute the kx square minus 4x inside the equation. But how we get y minus 5 minus x? Okay, because this is set down y square 5 minus x. So we know that one is the gradient because it's parallel, same gradient one. So when they ask you to find value k, so that means we know one of the gradient inside there is already -1 because this is parallel, same gradient. So when we have like that, we substitute the gradient inside and we substitute the 0.13, we will get the answer k is 3 because they ask tangent, not normal. So normal means m1, m2, -1. So the gradient won't be parallel. It will be, you can say parallel, but when they ask normal, so m1, m2 is -1. For B, they ask you to make the equation back. So we just integrate the equation, we tambah with C after that. After we tambah, we get k3 minus 2x squared plus c. As you know, you take the 2 plus 1 over the 3. Whatever on top that plus on top, you bring it down. So when they say when x equal 1 and y is equal to 3, so you substitute to get the c. So we get c is equal 4. So unless the answer x cubed minus 2x squared plus 4. That's your answer. So
Yeah.
that's my penjelasan. Can we hear from Boon?
Yeah. Okay. So basically, right, when you see admits, they just give you sentence, right? And then sometimes it's like tough for you to picture the whole situation that's actually happening with this question. So what you can do is on around your test pad, right? You can just like draw out what you can understand from the question in form of graph. That can actually help you in the understanding. So we can just put randomly. Don't need to be accurate because we don't know this curve is where in the actual value. So we just put like this a quadratic curve. Because you see, right, the curve equation they gave you is kx squared minus 4x. This form is quadratic, right? So we can represent it in a quadratic shape. And we already found the k value is positive, 3x squared minus 4x. So you can actually assume this is a smiley curve. It comes with a minimum point. And then the question said is gradient function of a curve. So when you say gradient function is already dy dx. So this is the keyword. Gradient function or gradient of tangent.
Oh, what is this? Can you explain what is this?
Which one?
This graph. Actually,
Oh, now you just random one. You just draw to illustrate what is happening in the question.
oh,
You just put a y-axis, x-axis, then you just draw. You see, they gave you a curve, right? Kx squared minus 4x. So it's quadratic. So I just draw a quadratic curve randomly. And then they say tangent to the curve, right? So if you see tangent to the curve, must draw a line like this. Because tangent means it only intersects at one point. Remember, in chemistry, rate of reaction chapter, they ask you, remember one question? Tangent
yes.
line. Remember?
The objective what you put, you they have asked for average one. You take the gradient of the total thing, or you just at the point only you use.
Now I'm talking subjective one. Remember they asked to draw a
Oh,
tangent
draw.
line.
Yeah. You got one at
The one
0.732.
I don't know. I forget the.
Oh, you.
So you see here, you can illustrate this is the tangent to the curve. Means it just touched the curve at one point anywhere. We don't know. And then they say there is another straight line y equals 5 minus x. So actually these two are actually the parallel lines because they said that the tangent to the curve at this particular point, which is 1, 3, is parallel to the straight line y equals 5 minus x. So parallel, we usually draw these two arrow sign. You can draw it in your illustration of your diagram on the rough paper. And then you convert this equation to y equals mx plus c. So you will get y equals negative x plus 5. So this is your gradient, m equals -1. So
Oh.
this straight line is just a random straight line somewhere. So if this m -1, this m also is -1 for this line for the tangent. So automatically we can put dy dx is -1. And then they gave you the function, right? Kx squared minus 4x gradient function, which is dy dx. So we just put it here, equals -1. And they gave you the point for a reason so that you can substitute the value of x at 0.13. So you can give this kind of headlines in the chapter, like you tell at 0.13, then you suddenly put like that, the x value, so that the examiner knows what you're doing. Then you see it
Oh.
solve. k minus 4 negative 1, k equals to 3. Right? So from here, right, you come until here. So that's how you do it. So
B is just integrate the equation only.
yeah, this one first part, not yet the integration yet, the 6a.
Ah,
So this one, you see, when you do this, you get the mark, this part. This is K1 and this is N1. Only 2 marks, see? Marks. So 3 marks. The K value is 1 more. K2 is when you substitute here. So it's 3 out of 3. So this part don't need to show. Because usually they have a saying in the question, right? Usually sometimes you see in an advanced question, solution by scale drawing is not accepted. This part. So you cannot solve a question like this by just drawing like this. This is for you to understand only. So you cannot use this as a part of your solution. Solution by scale drawing is not accepted. Usually you see this, right? Some questions. So that is how you're doing. So this is 3 marks. So you want the picture?
the way you asked, do you want the picture? That's comedy. Do you want the picture? Excusez-moi, les photos, les
Why are you talking French?
something like that. I forgot my French already.
So 6B you explain already. Oh yeah, you read that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe
so
that.
for 6B so you can leave this diagram here if you want, like in the exam, like you suddenly get an idea to draw like this. It can be out of your own imagination also
But
because
don't draw bunny or flower there lah.
that one then cannot lah.
That's why.
Dangerous. So 6B, the equation is 3x squared. So always remember when you get your k value, update your equation. These 3 here. Don't forget, like don't use back the kx squared minus 4x. Not you won't get the final answer. You will have 2 unknowns, k and c. So you will integrate. So this equation is actually dy dx, right? So the whole process you're going through is here is you integrate dy dx, and then you see I put a dx at the side here, right? Means it's actually respecting to dx. This is the actual meaning behind it, lah. So when you see dy over dx, it's actually times, lah, because you see suddenly there's an empty space here, so I can cancel off the dx. And then you see there's only dy. That's why you see it comes to y. dy means y power negative 1. So when you integrate, you plus 1, y power 0. This is the y. No? So that's how you get it. So, so this is the deeper understanding about it. So you will integrate 3x squared minus 4x. So if you integrate here with respect to dx, so here also you will respect to dx. Equilibrium, but everything in maths, when you add 1, you add plus 1 to one side of the equation, you also have to add plus 1 to the other side to be fair in the solution process. So you will get here. So this is indefinite integral because there's no lower limit and upper limit for the integral sign that you put. So basically you can go direct plus c. So y equals x cubed minus 2x squared plus c. Usually a lot of people forget this part, the plus c, because when you do normal integration, right, the lower limit and upper limit is given, like the area of shaded region, volume of revolution, all those things is they have the lower limit, upper limit. So this one is like more rare question, I would say. So again, you will use back the point, because if you realize, right, this point is not only located on the tangent to the curve, it's also actually located on the curve because the tangent intersects the curve at that point. So this point can also apply to the curve equation you get here. So you can put it in 1 cube minus 2 1 square plus c. 3 equals 1 minus 2 plus c. C is 4. So the final conclusion, x cubed minus 2x squared plus 4. So this is how you do it. You can also put a sign here, therefore. You see these three dots, right? I put here. That one actually means therefore in the final answer. You don't need to write like therefore y equals. You just put these three dots, 1, 2, 3, like that.
I see.
So this part is 1 mark. Get the C is 1 more mark, and this is N1, 3 out of 3. So you can do your conclusion on the chapter.
For me, chapter very confusing lah when you say about the volume and this one, but this part is easy. Just make question only for me.
Yeah,
And
me too. Even I will say the volume level of evolution part is actually quite tough
exactly, they
because it's a lot of imagination.
exactly. Must last time if you remember lah, Tadika time ABCD, how you put the blocks in this block, put that, and you know it lah, something like that. So, is it the end of the class?
I must give conclusion also.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the conclusion.
So
Sorry.
this one so different. This one is integration, right? Not differentiation. So yeah, it's different chapter. This one is integration. So
Ah,
basically integration. We'll come back to the volume of evolution thing. A famous question.
I think you give example, but wait, let me come back. Or I bring charger for my laptop. Come back.
Can I draw first.
Oh my god. Oh, your UFO.
Just a random question. I just create like
Oh my god, I see this question, so I cannot think of it lah.
no, just showing as an example only. It won't come out.
Thanks, Devon. Actually, when I come to this discussions all it start to make me think of love advance already.
Good luck.
Exactly. So
Should have it was.
what's the name of our club? Spa.
Yeah, they just changed it to
But our
Indian
club is called
partner.
Admets Club, right? This club.
Which one? For Admats Club.
I knew. Then we all make the videos.
So basically, right, you see this question, you see, just like this, let's say this one on intersection. So usually when you see integration question, right, first question will always ask you like this. Find coordinates or point of intersection of the curve and straight line. So that is their first question always. Usually that's what I see, and straight line. So they will provide you the curve equation, nothing to worry. So I just give a random one. Let's say it's like this, and the straight line is like this. So what you will do usually to find coordinates or points of intersection? I ask you
Huh?
what you usually do if they ask you to find point of intersection between this curve and this straight line.
Oh, I really don't know, Bun. Oh, so simple. Just put the x squared because minus 2 is because 3x minus 1. That's how
Yeah,
you do.
correct. So you basically just do that one equals to 2. You equalize both of the equations. So that's how you solve it. Basic quadratic, then you get the answer. And then make sure when you get the
Wait,
answer,
come on, wait.
there's only 1 point here. So basically you reject 1 point.
Sorry, Mike. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so that means find the area of. Okay, so just now the A is the find intersection point. Just substitute the value you get already.
Yeah. Actually, you need to copy this down because it's the random question only. It might not work actually because I just put suddenly like that. The
No,
question
I
you see is
actually,
planned.
if I see a god writing the thing, I must copy the god.
Just copy for, but don't try to solve it because you might not get an answer. Just be careful.
I see this question. I feel like this is the SPM examiner question, so I need to copy.
Usually it won't come like this, like I think. Just a random one only.
So
So
you come with Santa Claus.
so basically when you see right, you get the answer suddenly you see because you get quadratic here, right? So you expect two x values and two y values. So you see you get x equals to 3, y equals to 2. Let's say this point I'm talking about. So you see logical, right? X is positive, y is positive. But then you see another answer here, if you get, let's say x is negative 4, then definitely out. Here cannot be negative 4. What? Here is a positive region. So you reject this and you will use this coordinate. So when you get the
You want to know
coordinate,
something funny, Abu?
why?
When we reject the answer, because you see if it's a circular point, when we circle the thing, you see over there y so s squared minus 2. When you make that circle and you make that one, there's only you can see one point in intersection only.
Yeah, only
But
one
why
point.
there's 2 points at intersection?
Oh, from here.
Why there's 2 points, but in the diagram we see we cannot
Yeah,
find any
that's
more.
why I told you it's a random question. It won't
But in
represent
SPM early is the same thing. There's only one intersection.
really.
Some questions are that.
Maybe we have to consider like this one. You have to think logically and reject this value because in the quadratic equation sense, you will get two values, but not based on this diagram. So you have to reject one based on the
Exactly,
diagram.
Bowen. Actually, when I see the thing, when I substitute 0 in x squared minus 2, the 0 when you it's supposed to be 0, it's supposed to be negative 2.
Yeah.
So maybe it might be your error that side lah.
Yeah, of course, and because a random question I put plus two lah, then makes sense. Plus two
I
makes
thought I
sense.
wondered Kaikan be alien UFO all. Then I said this thing might be alien go universe or what. That's why.
This question will never come out. So let's say I put this as shaded region lah. Then this always second question will ask you like in integration can also come out actually in section B or section C. Remember our NMATS exam? It
Uh-huh.
came in section B or section C. I forgot the D. So usually they'll give this probably 3 marks. So let's say I just put a random say shaded region here, so you find it. So also when you find shaded region, right, you must recognize the pattern of the shaded region. Common one is trapezium or triangle. So actually, right, when you realize this, you can use the formula of trapezium or triangle to find the area of shaded region. You don't necessarily need to use integration. So that is your escape route. If you don't know how to find the answer via integration, right, use this escape route. Make
Escape
sure,
route.
yeah, it's an escape route. So make sure it's proper trapezium or triangle. Then you apply the formula you learned. A plus BH half BH anything. So you can already find straight away. You don't need to use integration. And it's actually proven that if you use integration to find this area and you use the formula, you will get the same answer eventually. So it's a valid method.
That's
Then
fun,
see
lah, Bowen.
what? It's what?
It's quite fun, like when you're saying about that.
Yeah.
Because for me, when you say escape from integration, I feel like escaping from prison.
Yeah, because sometimes our mind tends to think the complex way. You cannot help it. You just based on your instinct lah, how you when you see the question, what's the first method that comes to your mind, you use it lah. Don't need to think of how many ways you can solve the question. If you already have one way, use it. No need to think of
That's
any
true.
other possible ways because there's
True,
no
bro.
time.
Exactly. I also no time during the exam time.
So then the third one will be find volume of generated volume or volume of evolution. So in terms of pi, usually they'll say. So you don't need to substitute the value of pi. So when they say it's revolve, this one there's a chance it can be 180 degrees or 360 degrees.
But mostly you come out only 180.
Mostly come out what?
180 degrees only.
That one is quite rare actually because if 180, right, you have to divide your final answer by 2 because it's half rotation.
Exactly.
Mm.
Oh, so that means 3 come out 360 divided by 2, right?
No, 360 normal, your normal integration, your answer. If
Mm.
180 only you divide 2. Because the basic one is you will rotate full rotation. So that is it.
Oh. Alright, thanks, Bhuvan.
So usually you see right about x-axis or y-axis. So make sure you use your correct formula. E equals pi integrate AB. So if we say y-axis, right, you see you put dy here, isn't it? Don't put
Yes.
dx because you respect the dy, like the earlier one I told you, respect the y-axis.
Mhm.
So this is the clue you can use so that you don't get confused
So when
suddenly.
they say respect to y-axis, that means you must substitute y value or its value.
X squared means you have to find the express this equation in x form. X equals to
Oh,
what in y. Then you can integrate it only. Because you
also.
can't integrate x when you suddenly see dy here. It'll be like opposite already. You can't get the answer.
So in terms of y, that means x is the subject.
This one actually, yeah, x is the subject lah. Because you won't put x inside, it will be y terms on the right hand side of the equation.
Sometimes I get confused with that. Sometimes I put y strings.
Yeah, always remember the key. What respect to y. If you see dy means respect to y, dx respect to x. No? So that's a simple way of seeing it. And then same thing, no? If you put y equation, then you respect to x. No? So yeah,
Okay.
that is integration. Wait, let's take picture.
Bukti.
So complex. No? Mm. Hmm. You give your conclusion, Nadia.
Yeah, I guess it's not.
Hmm. Okay.
This one is like what like teachers and press conference like that. Like the police.
I take picture first. Hmm?
Alright. Oh, you're taking my photo.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's okay.
Alright. I look so black.
Got flash, you won't look black already.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Wow. I smiled. I thank God my yellow teeth. Oh.
Next week we do section B, like you come. If you free on Friday again, we do next week.
Can. No problem. If we can
Mm.
find questions on Form 5 also, a bit better. Lah. I mean, did you do revision of Form 5 mostly or you do Form 4 revision mostly?
Because basic concepts come from Form 4 actually.
Yeah, basic concept. But Form 5 is the problem is not much question in Form 5 will come out, right? Just only the simple question. But Form 4, mamang padu one come out.
Because they've tried to make it a bit complicated, the question sometimes.
Ah, I hate the probability one. I really hate. I can't
Oh,
understand
the
the
chapter 5, Form 5.
chapter. No, chapter 4.
Hmm.
Chapter 4. Yeah, I hate the chapter. Form 5 one, okay, lah, no problem. A bit okay. 6, did you study 6 yet?
Not yet. Our teacher.
Exactly. I never even practiced 6. I never even touched 6 yet. But the 6 I've did it. I actually did few of the questions when last year 6 I did. I
Oh, you
wanted
did.
to try. I wanted to try. I tried from the textbook, at least half of the questions done, and when I look through back, I can't even understand back again.
If you see, right, the chapter 6 of Maths Form 5 is related to our maths, We see Form 5 chapter 1.
Chapter 8, right?
Chapter 6 also. Trigonometry is in maths also. It's the same thing actually.
Alright.
But the maths is more simpler version, right? And maths is more advanced. So
Ah,
if you can like master maths trigonometry, maths surely you can master it. There's no reason.
alright. Yeah, I call you.
Huh? Yeah, I stop recording first.